Park Ji-woo stood in the dimly lit repair bay of Orbital Station Epsilon, his eyes fixed on the massive alien form sprawled across multiple repair platforms. Metal plates gleamed under harsh industrial lights, revealing intricate patterns of damage that told a story of epic battles fought across unknown galaxies. The biomechanical entity looked more like a fallen god than a machine. Its body was a complex fusion of metallic structures and organic components, each section bearing scars that spoke of centuries of conflict. Ji-woo's fingers traced a particularly deep gash along the creature's primary structural frame, feeling the subtle vibrations of dormant energy systems. Commander Kim Hyok watched from the observation deck, his face a mixture of skepticism and barely concealed concern. "That thing has been here for 3 standard cycles," he called through the communication system. "Nobody believes it can be restored." Ji-woo didn't respond. His attention was completely absorbed by the intricate network of circuits and biological interfaces before him. Most mechanics would have declared the entity beyond repair, but Ji-woo saw something different. Where others saw a broken machine, he saw a puzzle waiting to be solved. The workshop was a chaotic landscape of tools, holographic displays, and half-dismantled mechanical components. Specialized diagnostic equipment hummed softly, scanning the alien technology inch by inch. Yoon Dae-sung, Ji-woo's assistant, carefully cataloged each discovered component, creating a complex map of the entity's internal systems. "Look at these neural connectors," Ji-woo muttered, holding up a complex piece of technology that seemed to shimmer between solid and liquid states. "This isn't standard engineering. This is something entirely different." The entity had been discovered, floating in a remote sector, damaged and seemingly lifeless. Initial scans suggested it was a guardian, an ancient protective mechanism designed to defend civilizations from unknown threats. But something had gone terribly wrong during its last mission. Ji-woo worked methodically, his hands moving with a precision that came from years of experience. He wasn't just a mechanic, he was an artist who understood the language of machines. Each connection he made, each system he carefully restored, felt like solving an impossible puzzle. Hours turned into days. The station's standard lighting cycles came and went, but Ji-woo remained focused. He consumed nutrient packets and quick energy drinks, sleeping only when his body absolutely demanded rest. The other station personnel started to whisper. Some thought he was obsessed. Others believed he was wasting valuable resources on a lost cause. But Ji-woo saw potential where others saw destruction. The Guardian's primary systems were a maze of interconnected biological and mechanical components. Traditional repair methods wouldn't work. Ji-woo had to develop new techniques, combining his understanding of mechanical engineering with an almost intuitive approach to the alien technology. "This isn't just a machine," he explained to Dae-sung during one of their rare breaks. "It's a living system. Each component is connected, communicating in ways we can barely understand." Slowly, almost imperceptibly, changes began to occur. Dormant energy systems flickered. Quantum processors that had been silent for decades began to show microscopic signs of activity. The station's advanced scanning equipment started registering strange energy signatures that defied standard scientific understanding. Commander Hyok became increasingly nervous. "We don't know what this thing is capable of," he warned Ji-woo during a heated discussion. "It could be a weapon, it could be a threat to the entire station." But Ji-woo remained calm. He understood something the others didn't. This wasn't just a machine waiting to be reactivated. This was a sentient being that had been waiting, perhaps for centuries, to be understood. As the restoration progressed, strange things began to happen. Tools would move slightly when Ji-woo wasn't looking. Diagnostic screens would briefly display complex patterns that seemed almost like communication. The other mechanics started to avoid the repair bay, whispering about strange feelings and unexplained cold spots. But Ji-woo continued his work, unaffected by the growing tension around him. He knew he was close to something extraordinary. The Guardian was more than a machine. It was a living history of conflicts and protections spanning entire galaxies. And he was about to bring it back to life, The first true sign of awakening would come soon. A moment that would change everything about humanity's understanding of technology, protection, and the vast unknown universe that stretched beyond their current comprehension. The workshop hummed with an electric tension as Jiwoo continued his delicate work. Quantum processors gleamed like liquid metal waiting to be connected. Yoon Dae-sung watched nervously from the corner, his hands gripping a diagnostic tablet tightly. On the 37th solar cycle, everything changed. Jiwoo's fingers hovered over a complex neural interface, a thin connection that looked more like a living thread than a mechanical component. The moment he touched it, the entire station seemed to hold its breath. Electrical currents danced across the Guardian's massive form, creating patterns of light that seemed to pulse with an almost organic rhythm. Suddenly, a deep amber glow erupted from the creature's primary optical sensor. It wasn't just light. It was awareness. The sensor fixed directly on Jiwoo's face, intense and penetrating. For a moment, time itself seemed to stop. Communication wasn't what anyone expected. It wasn't spoken words or standard electronic signals. Instead, it was a complex language of electrical impulses that flooded Jiwoo's mind. Memories, fragments of battles, entire civilizations flickered through his consciousness like living photographs. The Guardian was showing him its history. Jiwoo saw massive space battles where entire star systems burned. He witnessed peaceful civilizations protected by the Guardian's intervention. Millions of years of existence condensed into moments of pure understanding. The mechanical being wasn't just a weapon, it was a protector, a living record of galactic conflicts. Commander Kim Hyuk's voice crackled through the communication system. Jiwoo, what's happening? The energy readings are off the charts. But Jiwoo couldn't respond. He was lost in a sea of alien memories and technological consciousness. The neural connection grew stronger, transforming from a simple repair interface into something far more complex. It was as if the Guardian was choosing Jiwoo, recognizing something unique in the human mechanic. Dae-sung watched in horror and fascination as diagnostic equipment went crazy. Lights flickered. Computers displayed incomprehensible data streams. The very air seemed charged with an unknown energy. The Guardian's systems began to respond to Jiwoo's thoughts before he could even fully form them. Damaged components started realigning. Quantum processors synchronized with an incredible speed. What had seemed like impossible damage began to repair itself, guided by a consciousness that was both machine and something more. It's alive, Dae-sung whispered, his voice barely audible. The neural synchronization wasn't just a connection. It was a complete merging of consciousness. Jiwoo could feel the Guardian's ancient pain, its long history of protection, its deep understanding of cosmic conflicts. Likewise, the Guardian was learning about humanity through Jiwoo's memories and experiences. Station protocols began to fail. Security systems couldn't comprehend the new entity that was slowly coming to life. The Guardian was rewriting its own programming, adapting to a universe that had changed dramatically since its last active mission. Hours passed like moments. Jiwoo remained perfectly still, connected to the massive biomechanical entity. His body showed no signs of fatigue, no indication of the incredible mental journey he was experiencing. The neural connection had transformed from a simple repair interface to a complete symbiotic link. Commander Hyuk made a decision. Initiate emergency protocols, he ordered the station's security team. Be prepared for anything. But deep down he knew something extraordinary was happening. This wasn't just a machine being repaired. This was first contact of a kind nobody had ever imagined. The Guardian systems continued to activate. Complex weapon networks came online. Energy conduits that had been dormant for centuries began to pulse with potential. Each system responded not to standard programming, but to the shared consciousness between Jiwoo and the ancient protector. As the final connections completed, Jiwoo opened his eyes. But they were different now, filled with an amber glow that matched the Guardian's optical sensor. He wasn't just a human mechanic anymore. He was something more. The first warning came as a subtle vibration across the station's sensor grid. Distant electronic signatures began to cluster, sharp, predatory, and unmistakably hostile. Jiwoo's neural connection with the Guardian transformed instantly from passive observation to active defense mode. Station scanners tracked multiple incoming vessels. They weren't like any known spacecraft design. These ships moved with a calculating precision that suggested more than simple technological advancement. They represented pure strategic intelligence. Incoming threat detected, the station's computer announced in a calm, emotionless voice. Multiple unidentified vessels approaching sector perimeter. Commander Kim Hyok's face grew pale. The vessels moved like a coordinated predatory pack, each ship adjusting its trajectory with millisecond precision. They weren't just approaching, they were hunting. Jiwoo stood perfectly still, his body connected to the Guardian through complex neural interfaces. His eyes, now permanently altered with a strange amber glow, scanned invisible data streams that normal human systems couldn't perceive. The Guardian's massive form began to reconfigure, mechanical components shifting and realigning with lightning speed. Weapon systems that had been dormant for centuries suddenly hummed with potential energy. Complex quantum shields started generating intricate defensive patterns. The entire repair bay transformed from a maintenance area into a living, breathing combat system. "We're not just repairing," Jiwoo whispered, his voice carrying an unusual resonance that mixed human emotion with mechanical precision. "We're preparing for war." Yoon Dae-sung watched in absolute amazement as the Guardian's body began to move. It wasn't just activation, it was a complete transformation. Metallic plates shifted like living skin, creating complex defensive configurations that defied standard engineering understanding. The incoming vessels increased their approach speed. Preliminary scans suggested they were from a civilization humanity had never encountered, a species that viewed other intelligent life as nothing more than potential resources to be harvested or destroyed. "Threat level, critical," the station's computer announced. But its voice seemed weak compared to the growing energy surrounding Jiwoo and the Guardian. The neural connection allowed Jiwoo to see multiple potential battle scenarios simultaneously. Thousands of strategic options played out in his mind, filtered through the Guardian's millennia of combat experience. Each potential movement was calculated with impossible precision. Defensive platforms around the orbital station began charging. Standard human weapons looked primitive compared to the living technology now fully awakening. The Guardian wasn't just a machine, it was a complete ecological defense system designed to protect vulnerable civilizations. "Full combat synchronization initiated," Jiwoo stated, his voice carrying an otherworldly blend of human emotion and mechanical clarity. The first attack came quickly. Hostile energy weapons struck the station's outer defensive grid, but instead of causing damage, the attacks were absorbed and redistributed by the Guardian's advanced shield systems. It was like watching water flow around a perfectly designed stone. Commander Hyok could only watch in stunned silence. The repair bay had transformed into something beyond human understanding, a living combat system that merged technological precision with adaptive intelligence. Jiwoo's body remained still, but his consciousness expanded. He could feel every potential attack vector, understand the hostile ship's communication frequencies, and anticipate their next moves before they even formed the intention. The Guardian's weapon systems began to charge. They weren't traditional weapons. They were complex energy redistribution mechanisms that could neutralize entire attack formations without causing direct destruction. It was protection in its purest form. "Preparing defensive response," Jiwoo announced, though no one in the room was certain if he was speaking as a human or as part of the Guardian's collective consciousness. The battle for the orbital station, and potentially for human survival, was about to begin, and everything would depend on the impossible connection between a human mechanic and an ancient living weapon system. The first true test of their partnership was moments away. The battle erupted with a silent intensity that defied traditional understanding of combat. Jiwoo's consciousness merged completely with the Guardian, creating a symbiotic system more advanced than any known technological interface. Neural pathways connected faster than computer processors. Thoughts became actions. Strategies formed and executed in microseconds. The hostile ships found themselves facing something they couldn't comprehend, a living defense mechanism that anticipated every possible attack before it happened. Quantum. Energy fields expanded around the orbital station. The Guardian's body moved with a grace that contradicted its massive size. Metallic plates shifted like liquid, absorbing incoming weapon systems and redirecting their energy. Each movement was a perfect combination of Jiwoo's human creativity and the Guardian's ancient combat protocols. Tactical response, maximum efficiency. Jiwoo's voice echoed through the station's communication systems, sounding both human and mechanical. Yoon Dae-sung watched in absolute amazement. The repair bay had transformed into a living command center. Diagnostic screens displayed impossible data streams, complex mathematical calculations that predicted and neutralized threat vectors before they could even fully form. The hostile ships tried multiple attack strategies. They launched coordinated energy weapons, attempted electronic disruption techniques, and deployed advanced infiltration protocols. But each attempt was met with an adaptive response that seemed to read their intentions before they could act. Commander Kim Hyuk could only observe as human technology merged with something far beyond current understanding. The Guardian wasn't just defending. It was learning, adapting, evolving with each microsecond of the conflict. Jiwoo experienced the battle from multiple perspectives simultaneously. He could feel the energy signatures of each hostile ship, understand their communication networks, and predict their strategic movements. His human creativity combined with the Guardian's millennia of combat experience created an unbeatable tactical system. Weapon systems that had been dormant for centuries came alive. Complex energy redistributors transformed incoming attacks into harmless radiation. Shield technologies adapted faster than the hostile ships could modify their attack patterns. We're not just fighting, Jiwoo thought, the message transmitting through their neural connection. We're protecting. The station's defensive grid, once considered advanced human technology, now looked primitive compared to the living system that had fully awakened. Each movement was a perfect dance of destruction and protection. Hostile ships began to retreat. Their advanced systems couldn't comprehend the adaptive intelligence they were facing. What seemed like a simple orbital station had transformed into an impossible defensive mechanism that defied all known combat strategies. Dae-sung watched the tactical displays in complete shock. Mathematical models showed the incredible efficiency of their defense, near-perfect prevention of any potential damage. The Guardian wasn't just protecting the station. It was teaching a lesson about true technological adaptation. Hours passed, like moments. The battle became a complex ballet of energy and intention. Jiwoo's human creativity merged with the Guardian's ancient programming, creating something entirely new. They weren't just a human and a machine anymore. They were a single adaptive system. Threat neutralized, the station's computer announced, though the words seemed almost redundant compared to the incredible display of technological mastery they had just witnessed. Commander Hyuk approached the repair bay, his hands shaking. The massive Guardian remained perfectly still, its systems humming with potential energy. Jiwoo stood connected, his body showing no signs of the incredible mental and technological journey he had just completed. The symbiotic alliance had proven itself. Humanity had just witnessed a form of technological partnership that would change everything they understood about defense, protection, and the potential of intelligent systems. The aftermath of the battle left an eerie silence across the orbital station. Jiwoo remained connected to the Guardian, their consciousness still intertwined in a complex neural network that defied human understanding. Debris from the destroyed hostile ships drifted silently in the surrounding space. Each fragment told a story of technological defeat, a testament to the incredible defense system that had emerged from what was once considered a broken mechanical entity. Commander Kim Hyuk approached the repair bay cautiously. The massive Guardian stood motionless, its metallic surface reflecting the station's industrial lights. Jiwoo's body remained perfectly still, his eyes showing that strange amber glow that now seemed both alien and familiar. "Status report," Hyok requested, his voice breaking the heavy silence. Yoon Dae-sung checked the diagnostic systems. Every reading suggested something impossible, a complete transformation of their understanding of technological defense. The Guardian was no longer just a machine. It had become a living protector, a sentinel that understood the delicate balance of survival. Jiwoo's consciousness began to separate from the deep neural connection. Memories of the battle played out like complex holographic projections, each moment a perfect blend of human intuition and ancient technological wisdom. The Guardian had chosen him, not just as a mechanic, but as a partner. "We're more than survivors," Jiwoo spoke, his voice carrying a strange resonance that mixed human emotion with mechanical precision. "We're protectors now." The station's communication systems began receiving messages from nearby human colonies. Reports of the battle had spread quickly. What seemed like a potential extinction-level threat had been neutralized in a way no one could have predicted. Complex energy signatures continued to pulse through the Guardian systems. It wasn't powering down. It was adapting, preparing, learning. The neural connection with Jiwoo had transformed it from a dormant weapon into a living, thinking defender of human space. Dae-sung watched in amazement as repair systems continued to optimize the Guardian's capabilities. Quantum processors realigned, energy conduits found new configurations, and defensive protocols expanded beyond their original design. "What are we looking at?" Hyok asked, his voice a mixture of fear and wonder. The answer came not in words, but in a demonstration of potential. Holographic displays began showing multiple scenarios, potential threats, defensive strategies, ways to protect human colonies across multiple star systems. Jiwoo understood now. The Guardian wasn't just a weapon. It was a legacy, a living system designed to protect civilizations across generations. And somehow, through an impossible connection, he had become part of that legacy. Days passed. The station returned to a semblance of normal operations. But everything had changed. The Guardian remained in the repair bay, no longer hidden or dormant, but a visible reminder of their incredible journey. Communication networks began to buzz with speculation. Scientists, military experts, and politicians all tried to understand the impossible technology that had saved them. But only Jiwoo truly understood the depth of their connection. "We're not just fighting," he would explain to those who asked. "We're understanding, we're protecting." The Guardian systems continued to evolve. Each day brought new discoveries, new potential ways to defend and protect. The neural connection with Jiwoo meant it was learning about humanity, its strengths, its vulnerabilities, its incredible potential. As the first reports of the battle reached distant human colonies, something shifted in the collective understanding. This wasn't just a technological victory. This was a new chapter in human survival. Hyok watched Jiwoo carefully. The mechanic was no longer just a human. He had become something more, a bridge between human creativity and ancient technological wisdom. "What happens now?" Dae-sung asked, breaking the silence. Jiwoo's amber-glowing eyes looked out into the vastness of space. The Guardian hummed softly beside him, a living testament to their impossible partnership. "Now," he said quietly, "we protect." The dawn of a new era had begun, an era of unexpected alliances, of technological miracles, of humanity's true potential finally being realized.